We're joined now by James Causey, who's an editorial page columnist for the Journal-Sentinel and have wrote about this case and many others. And Don, I should note, is a former City Hall reporter, so he's well aware of sort of the dynamics behind policing and all these issues that go on in the city. Everything gets ever more outrageous. I mean, this is just a crazy incident, and it just crystallizes people's worries and fears, I think, about the city. James, what's your take on what's going on out there, and why can't we seem to get this under control?
Well, I think what's going on is that we have a number of issues all taking place at one time. I mean, everyone's looking for the silver bullet to stop this. I hate using bullet in this case, but it's appropriate. Everybody wants to say, is it drugs, is it gangs, is it guns? Well, it's everything. And you can add 20 more things on top of that. It's poverty, it's hopelessness, it's joblessness. It's a number of things that are causing all these shootings. And a lot of it falls back on the parents as well. I think in order to get a foothold on this, we need to have more communication, and we have to have more, people need to work more with police. And I think everyone knows someone who has a illegal gun. And if you know someone with an illegal gun, it's up to you to try to make sure that those guns don't end up killing someone. If you can't do it, you need to contact the police and have them do it. But it's tragic because of a number of different reasons. You know, we're losing kids now. And when you start losing kids, you have to think about this. If a city's health is based on the safety and well-being of their children, then we're failing. I mean, kids are being killed. And I think a lot of people are not really focusing so much on that.
Well, I think this one might have struck people in a way because they might hear about two gang members who are in an incident and they figure, well, I'm not a gang member, it couldn't affect me. But I think a lot of people could identify with someone who's going down the street about their business and this tragedy happens and look at the aftermath. Don, how are the chief and the mayor, and I mean everything eventually gets into the political realm, how are they handling this and presenting their case for more gun laws or stricter gun laws?
Well, it's no secret, for example, that the mayor and some of his top staff are always notified immediately of a homicide in the city, so it becomes very personal for them. I know they feel somewhat helpless over this last week where there's just been this enormous amount of violence. But at the same time, both City Hall and the aldermen are very mindful of the great amount of money that is already spent on public safety in this city. And as James points out, it's not just about putting more cops on the streets. There are other avenues that need to be explored. The police costs are something north of 40% of the entire city budget, so no one can necessarily accuse the city of underspending. Certainly Mike Crivello, the head of the police union, has been vocal in the last few days saying, stop the furlough of cops, we got to hire back unfilled positions. That will become a very big political issue this spring, for sure.
Well, you can't police yourself out of this. I mean, you can have a police on every corner, and it's not going to stop the violence that we have today. Until we start dealing with the core issues, family, poverty, segregation, and issues like that, none of this will be solved. And I think what we have now is that more people are out, the weather is changing. We haven't even reached summer yet. If we're at 43 now, just wait until the summer. We have to start tackling these really hard to deal with issues. And we keep skirting around the issues. We want to talk about, heroin and things like that, but we don't really want to tackle the real issues. And that's what's so irritating to a lot of people today, and that leads to all the frustration.
Is there anything you can see, James, where there's even a hopeful sign? Because if you say, we're going to fix poverty and education and joblessness, it's like saying we're going to move that mountain, so let's get started. How do we get things going in the right direction?
I think we really have to focus on grassroots level approaches to dealing with a lot of these urban issues. And there's a lot of great programs out there that I write about constantly that are really making a difference in kids' life. Like, for instance, this one program, Saving Our Sons, they're doing tremendous things because they're getting young people to put down guns and talk about all the trauma that they've dealt with in their lives. And this is getting changes at the root causes. It takes a long time to get to, this paradise, this utopia. But until we start doing that, then we can't tackle any of these other issues. We have to start talking about trauma that exists in our community.
Don, can you talk a little about the clash? Every time something like this happens, it seems that Chief Flynn is on one side, Sheriff Clark is on the other side, and there's this head-butting and even posturing and maneuvering for their own points of view. But does anyone win in that? I mean, whose view is sort of carrying the day? What do you make of all that?
Well, certainly it's done for public consumption. Television stations are quick to show up for these events, whether it's Sheriff Clark saying something or the chief. But let's not forget also we have 2 aldermen who are going to be running against Mayor Barrett next year. They too are part of this equation. Alderman Donovan and Alderman Davis are weighing in about the need to do something about public safety and violent crime in their districts. I think at this point people start to tune it out. You certainly pick up on talk radio that people are hearing, are being tired of hearing these sound bites, and would like to see some action along the lines of what James has been suggesting. So right now it's happening every day, and I'm not sure what purpose it serves.
All right, as we move on here to our next topic, I should note we have our part of the Journal-Sentinel, part of an ongoing effort called Precious Lives, looking
Yes.
at violence specifically as it relates to children, and you can find those stories at jsonline.com/precious lives.